I don't believe in investments because I don't believe investments
Well,
matter.
thank you, Stoy, for joining me today. I'm super excited to be talking with you and sharing with people the amazing things that you're able to do with your company. Because prior to meeting you, I really thought wealth management was just telling people how to spend their money. I had absolutely no idea, and you really opened up my eyes. So I really want to share with people, get the word out, because I think any business owner or really anyone with half a brain would benefit from working with you. So appreciate you coming on. I guess to start with, I'd love for you to tell us name of your company and a little bit about what it is that your company does, and then we can dive into some of the fun specifics.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it being in Miami currently, although it is raining. It is nice to be in the same state as you. Black Mammoth has been around since 2020. I've been in this industry for 12 years, but started Black Mammoth for the sole purpose of helping business owners, typically the LGBTQ, women, minorities, and athletes, really build their wealth. And in the way that is, in my eyes, the way it should be built. And that is on your mindset, that is on structuring correctly. It is not worrying about investments. It is not being told I can't spend money. It is really just encompassing all of that. And so Black Mammoth, I started in 2020 with that like idea behind it. And our whole purpose is to stabilize and transcend your wealth, right? And everyone's like, how the hell did you get to Black Mammoth? That's cool. But like, what the hell, right? I knew I wanted black in it. I wanted it to be bold, right? Black is bold, but also financially being in the black is where we all want to be. And I just couldn't come up with something else. At that point, I had one of my staff members. We were just like going back and forth. And his brother said, why not Mammoth? And I was like, tell me more, tell me more.
Mhm.
And mammoths, back in obviously the prehistoric times, would lead all to food and water, right? Or prosperity. All types of animals. Didn't matter who you were, what you looked like. They were there to protect you and lead you to, to water and food. And so when it came to like naming, I was like, Black Mammoth, one, just bold, big, but also here to guide you through your wealth journey, protect you from the bad things that happen, and obviously be here for the good times. And so that's where the name came from. And we're really unique in regards to how we operate. I don't believe in investment, right? I love that. That's going to be a great cut up. I don't believe in investments because I don't believe investments matter if you don't have the right cash flow flexibility or the ability to invest and save. So a lot of firms are all stuck on what we call AUM and how much investment or investable assets do you have. And that's great and dandy, but you can't get there if you don't have a plan for all the other places that our money goes. And part of that reinvestment is in yourself. Part of that reinvestment's in your business. And the other stuff is just like, I love good food. So sometimes you just have to invest in some good food, right? That mindset is different for a lot of people.
Mhm.
It's really tough. And I'm glad we've met. I'm glad we're doing this because it's tough to get that through to others. That I am not a financial planner that's worrying about investments. I see it all the time when I message. I have an investment guy. I don't care. I'm not here for that.
Mhm.
I'm here for all the other issues that happen and the mindsets and the things that you have to go through. And so that's what practice is about. That's what the firm's about. We have our own podcast as well. That's not tied to the firm, but is sponsored by it. All designed around being loud for others to lift others up. And a lot of it has everything to do with business owners because, like working with them is they're the ones that help build wealth for others because they employ people and they get things done for the people that they want, right? Could be shoes, could be lending, and it could be, what I do with financial planning. Like people need stuff done and they need business owners to do so.
I love it. And really, this is what drew me to you. Your approach and your mindset in all of this is just amazing. And it's what it should be, but it's not. And yes, I was the person that did assume it just had to do with investments. So you say you don't believe in investments, music to my ears, because I think if you're just sticking on investments, it intimidates people. It really does. Like if you were just going to go, people don't know what they're doing and it's scary. Your approach is not scary and you're getting down to what actually matters. And that's what's so different about you. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, what impressed me was you dove into like your process with somebody and your VIP day and what that looks like. And I'll be honest, it blew me away. I ran right in the other room to my husband. I'm like, we got to do this. This is the most amazing, life-changing thing. I want everyone to know about this because I think, and I'll let you dive into it, but
Yeah.
my opinion on it is it would take any business owner and just elevate what they're doing and give them such clarity, because as business owners, we're so caught up in the day to day and growing our business and managing 30 million things that we lose sight of that focus that you provide so clearly because you're that outside set of eyes. So I'd love to hear you kind of
Yeah.
describe it in your ways rather than my blabbering.
Black Mammoth was great. I loved it.
Thanks.
Uh, well, the VIP day, that service came about because I realized that everything that we do or everything that I do in my job takes time. Like it's over a course of months, years for people. And I wanted to be able to do something that could give them that special time in a short period of time and then allow them to decide if they wanted to hire me or go do it themselves, right? Ultimately, that's the whole purpose. In a VIP day, obviously, we have our initial meetings to determine that we're going to do this service. But when we do, for business owners, it's about 5.5 hours to 6 hours of intense just conversation, right? What happens in this conversation from experience from it is the first like 3 hours, 4 hours, is all about them, their story, things they've gone through. Everyone someone has cried. Like literally, it is emotional drain and an emotional lifting thing at the same time, right? Whether it's your story growing up as a child and you had no money, and so now even as an adult, the way you think about money is influenced, or had a bad business partner and things happen and you're at where you're at, and all of those go into money and how your wealth is built. And they influence us way more than we ever know. And in these processes, as we're getting really deep into it, people start to open up because they start to realize that we're not talking about money. We're not talking about investment. We're not talking about any of that. What are we talking about? Passion and the things that they actually care about. And that is almost always, right? Themselves, their family, their kids, or even their business, because their business does something for other people. And we start to get clarity on like, what do they want to see and how do they want to operate their life, not what's being dictated by a dollar or dictated by someone else. And so once we can open up that, right? Once we get past that, I don't want to say past it, but once we get those emotions out, we're now able to focus on the numbers. And I tell everyone this. I'm at a financial planning conference right now. Okay. Literally today with other planners, we just said that like ultimately the number side, that's easy. That's just black, white, 1+1=2 situation, because it is what it is. It's all the things that I just said that we go through. That is what comes out to determine where those numbers go. And once you get that, then we can start to nail down, you should have this type of investment account. Make sure you have all your insurance plans. Do you need employee benefits? Do you have a CPA? Have you looked at your financials? Do you understand those? Like then that comes into play. And once that we get to that, people start to understand like one, it's a lot of shit. Like it's overwhelming. There's a lot there specifically about a business owner. And two, they've never sat through and went through that process of being emotionally drained from all of that and then really diving into something that usually we all think we have a handle on. And I do this in a loving way, but I pick apart everything. Have you thought about this? Have we thought about this? What you're doing here, like for example, one of my clients, love her to death, asked her, why are you taking discounts on your services? Why are you discounting it? There's no point to discounting it. You don't need to discount it. Well, I wanted more traffic. Well, what you got out of that is now lesser people getting a discounted, and now you're discounting your own value. You just told me over here that you care about your family, you have all these goals and all of these things that are going on, but now you're discounting the thing that drives that. Is that really what you want to do, right? So we get into all of that, and by the end of this, we're all crying, we're all tired. I say, okay, in the next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out an entire financial plan for your personal and your entire pathway for your business, and how you can achieve which things that we're weakest in. And you either can go do them yourself, or this plan is exactly what I would do. You would hire me month to month to get those things done for you while you can focus on the changes that you want to do now. And so that's the VIP service. It's literally just a day of everything into one little, it's a long ass day, one shot, as opposed to it taking, could take months and months and months. But the caveat is once you have that, you need to implement in how are you and can you implement it within that. And so that's what they get at the end of it. Business owners, they get a little more. I have a team of CPAs and accountants, so they get a whole download of what their tax return is, how we would operate, how we would adjust financials or whatever if they don't have a CPA or an accountant at that point. And then I get with a marketing team as well, and they give them a marketing package of, hey, this is where your business is at. You want to take it to here. This is exactly what we would do for you to take it to there. And so they can literally within a week's time leave and say, I can have everything done. There's a team here ready for me. Or I know what I need to do to get to this point and either hire them or, maybe I can just handle it myself.
It's amazing. It just is really amazing. When I hear you talk about it, every time I'm just blown away. And one thing I want to dive into a little bit, you talked about hiring you for the monthly service. I know you mentioned it could be like minimal all the way up to, I mean, you told me one client, you pretty much pay all their bills, you do everything for them, which I think would be incredible because then you can focus on
Right.
other things instead of the
Yeah.
day-to-day mundane. But if you can explain that a little bit, because that is really unique, I think, and so valuable.
Yeah. First, I love Hawaii. My tattoos, everything. My family goes there every year. So all of our services are called, something. So we can start with like our Aloha, which is more, one-on-one, hourly, get a project done and just here to help support what you're doing. Or we can go to Mahalo, and Mahalo is the next step up, right? I'm doing a lot for you. You're not trying to implement things yourself. You have unlimited conversations with me, and we just start working together. And then we've got our personal CFO package, which falls under Ohana, which in Hawaiian is family. And under our family office side, where now we're starting to get into what you just said, right? We're starting to do bill pay. We're starting to set up your travel. A lot of my clients love this part of it of, I need to buy a home, I need to get lending, I need to buy a car. Well, we get it all done, right? They just sign it and they take the car home. Or this is where you come into play, which is a huge deal for business owners, is lending in general. Well, I'm going to walk them through it, right? I've been through what your service is. I know what to do. And there needs to be someone to help them guide. One, what do I need? Why do I need it? And then two, did we get enough and then implement it? And so that's what the personal CFO and then Ohana brings into play, is just that more family office feel of you as a business owner, what you do is important, right? Well, all of that other shit that we don't want to deal with, right? Where are all my accounts? What's my logins, bill pays, making sure my taxes are done, all of those things that just muddle our day. That's what the team takes on in those services.
And that is just the most amazing thing ever, because it's just, I mean, I'll be honest, as a business owner, you feel like sometimes a chicken with your head cut off, trying to manage all those mundane pieces that really aren't that important, but we have to do them, right? There's no avoiding it, but being able to hand that off to somebody that knows what they're doing and then be able to actually focus just on the important stuff of running your own business would be huge for any business owner. I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to do that. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a control thing, right? We don't want to give up control.
Yeah, I know.
That's our biggest hurdle to everything is, well, we can do it. I could just do it with my own time. And then you start to whittle it down like, wow, it takes actually a lot of time. And if I had
It
that time,
does.
I could do a lot more.
And it wears you out. So then when you're back focusing on your own business, you're not giving it the most effort because you've been sucked into everything else that's, tedious and time consuming.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I love about you and what you offer, Stoy, is you're like me but elevated. Like I help people get the money, but what I've always felt like is I lack in that I'm not able to professionally give them advice on, is it the right move? Is this as much as they need? Are they taking too much? And they ask me for it, and I don't give that advice because I'm certainly not. I don't have your education. I don't have your skill set, and so I feel like you're the perfect complement to me and what I offer, because I can give people the money that will help them expand, grow, whatever. But you're the person that guides them on how best to spend it, and is this the right choice? And that's where I almost feel like every business owner that gets funding through me needs to go through you as well, because I mean, you can help them know, is this the right decision or not? And I can't necessarily do that. I don't look at their books. I don't know what their monthly expenses are. I know none of that. All I respond to is what their need is right then. And I do my very best to get them that need met. And that's where I stop. And you just kind of pick up and go from there. And, in your words, how do you feel like it would benefit a business owner to work with you even before taking funding? I mean, how could that make the big difference for them?
Yeah, I think it makes a world of difference, honestly, regardless of how well they know what they're getting into or whatnot, is the simple fact of like understanding exactly what's happening, right? And like, so I have a couple of clients that are going through you, and we already have a plan. We know what we need to do ultimately, but can we get it funded? And then what do we do afterwards? And there's a lot that goes into on the precursor side, right? One, which one of your services is the best, right? And you knowing that and me working with you, we can help adjust that prior to even going to get some type of underwriting, right? And getting people prepared to go through that system. And what I've known about the service is that, like, if you have everything locked and loaded and prepared, it's a lot easier for all of those things to happen on the back end. And it takes that stress off. So for me, I think it's paramount. that all businesses should be doing that, to have their plan and goals put in place well before, because then I think what it uncovers is actually the actual amount of need as well. And my wife asked me the same thing. She's like, do we really need all that? And I said, one, yeah, I'm trying to get some of the personal debt over the business. But no, two, it's okay to take on more as long as you have a plan for that more. I would probably guess that a lot of your clients take on more and end up on the back end now overspending something, doing
Yes.
something else and maxing it out. And that's what terrifies me, which is why I want them to be on the front end, right? It's cool to go get a line of credit and have credit at 100,000, but you only need 60 or 70. It's not cool to do that and then all of a sudden spend the 100,000 and now your cash flows hurt, or you can't pay the bills, and now you're right back into the same situation you probably were trying to get out of, right? And so on the front end, we can make a plan that fits comfortably, but also within that, know, hey, we might get an extra 30. That's okay. We want that. And then we can build and build and build years in the future when we have that cash flow to support $100,000. So I think it's paramount. I think everyone should do it. It's a very easy, I don't say it's an easy process because it's a process, but it gives you clarity, and you have no matter what funding we get, you have a plan, as opposed to maybe not getting all the funding and going, oh shit, now what? Right? Now operate, or whatever it is. You have a plan no matter what happens.
No, and that's what I think is amazing, because you hit it on the head. In my line of funding, we often get people more than they even asked for, because we do alternative funding that has different parameters. So somebody that might have needed, 60,000 is suddenly has 150,000, and there's that disconnect, because again, I can't say, I don't feel comfortable saying, what are you going to do with that? Is that, are you going to use that effectively? Is that going to really help your business, or is that going to be spent going on a big vacation with your wife? There's that problem, and that's where I think, people can get in trouble. And the flip side to that, the majority of the loans or the funding that we help clients get is very affordable. I mean, for example, the 0%. There are types of funding, though, where I feel like we haven't necessarily provided it to the client, but they come to us not sure what to do. And those are merchant cash advance loans, where it's typically somebody with challenged credit, but they have great cash flow coming in. The problem with that, and I feel like it should be a prerequisite before you take that loan, they need to have you, because these APRs are like 48 to 50%, and they think they need it, but they don't really have a good exit strategy. So they keep, and I mean, I've had clients with 9 of these paying upwards of 10 to 20,000 a week, if not daily. So, and then, a lot of times, unfortunately, business and owners end up going bankrupt because of those loans. So long story there, but I really feel like, you're that missing piece that could really help people take on loans responsibly. And then that's what I just really love.
Yeah, and I want to add a little clarity to that, because I'm simplifying it, but I want to simplify it because it is a lot. When I'm saying that goes into that, I'm not just saying, we're saying, okay, hey, Sarah said she needs 60, 30s for this, 25s for this, and 5s for that. That's part of it, clearly. But we're also diving into is, what's the tax implications, right? Both before and after. How are we going to involve this in our cash flow? How is this going to be written off, or is it not going to be written off, right? Is there a route for us to use this, but also get a better reward or gain on the backside? Can we multiply what we're doing because of other networks and other assets? And that's what I mean by all the things that we also do, right? I have a very vast network on top of the fact that we can get funding, right? So what are you getting funding for? What is it? What's the need? What is that thing? Well, have you ever looked into that? That's great. I love it. But what if there's a better vendor? What if there's something else to just enhance everything that person's doing, so that 60,000 goes as far as it's supposed to, but also gets us a return later, and then we can do this all again, right? We can pay it off and keep going and building that line and building that credit up and up and up and up. So now we can expand, and we can expand very comfortably without being stuck or worrying about this. And that's what I mean, to just give more clarity to that. That's what goes into it. And I see a lot of missed boats when it comes to taxes, when it comes to retirement planning or any type of deduction. They miss so many because they just don't know what they don't know. And that's why there are people like me. There are people like you. We're not all supposed to know it all at all, right? We're learning from each other, and we'll continue to learn from each other. That's what we're here for. And so let us do what we're really good at doing.
No, that's very true. I really agree with you on that. So this is something we haven't talked about much before, but a lot of clients that I get are actually real estate investors, or just starting out as real estate investors. You're a numbers guy. You're much better at this than I am. Would it be beneficial for somebody that's trying to build a portfolio to work with you to understand? I mean, because I'll be honest, there's times I tell clients, we're not doing this. That's not going to cash flow. Look at how minimal it is your profit. If you're borrowing both the down payment and the loan, you're making no money.
Right.
So I feel like people getting into real estate investing, or even that already are there and they're trying to grow, would that be something that they would benefit with working with you, because they could then understand, are these the right decisions?
Yeah, it's because of my experience. I've ran
Mm-hmm.
a commercial real estate firm with 10 properties. I have a hedge fund, and ultimately I understand what they're trying to do, right? Because that's truly just an investment piece. But also you have to realize it's still a business. Like doing that, building a portfolio is just a business. And so going into real estate, people think I can make a lot of profit, right? This property is going to always kick me off $2,000 a month. No, that's not how that works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to know your goals on the front end. I want to build a portfolio that allows me to completely live off of that when I'm in 10 years, right? Okay, well, how much is that? Is that 300,000, 400,000? All right, well, whittle that down. Now you're looking at 20 to 25, maybe even 30,000 a month that you need to cash flow. Cash flow, to your point. That means after all your debt's been serviced, that means putting away in case something happens with the property, which it will. That includes your turnover rate in general. It includes taxes, insurance, all of that. And real estate investors, some of them don't understand all of that goes into it. And so when your total number comes all the way down, it's a lot less than you think. And it's not something to take lightly, because now you're going to have a property on your hands. Yep. And that hurts a lot more than a lot of people understand. And so I try to get them to understand, see the numbers, right? Black and white, that's easy. But also the mindset of like, this is a business. So I need to treat it as such. This is not just a hobby that I can keep doing properties and take the money out of. No, it's a business, and I need to have the plan on the front end for it to operate correctly.
Mm-hmm. No, I couldn't agree more, because I see a lot of investors jumping into it because it's the cool thing and it's what you see on social media. Get into real estate investing, you'll be retired in a year. And so all these people jump into it, but they really don't think it all the way through, and they don't run those numbers correctly. All they look at is, well, I'm gonna have a renter in there paying my payment each month. I can just sit back and collect and it'll be great. And there really is, and it can be super beneficial, but you have to really understand the numbers and look at it objectively, which is where I think you're the perfect solution for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we had a client recently who they were thinking of doing this, right? He was out of the
Yeah.
military or getting out of the military, about 25,000. They want to start this. And I said, numbers wise, we can make it work. I'm not worried about that. But who's answering that call from the tenant at 2 or 3 in the morning? Who's going over there to fix a toilet or to deal with the roof issues or to mow, or like start asking all these questions? They're like, well, we could hire people for that. And I said, yes, you absolutely can. Property managers, you 100% should, because you're not really good at all that. However, guess what? They cost money. Now that profit we were just talking about is whittling down on top of your own time, which is a value, which also needs to be built in. And I want everyone, maybe that's listening or whatever they're doing, you have to factor in your time. You are worth something per hour, whatever it is. I know I'm $250 an hour. I don't know if you've broken yours down, but you are something per hour. And so whatever that number is, you calculate that into also your projections, because you paying yourself is not profit. That's you paying yourself, right? You're an employee of your own business. We all are. The profit is above and beyond all of that. So if you're looking at these numbers and going, oh yeah, cash flows is $800, but you've spent 10, 20 hours a month on it or more, well, that profit's maybe like 200. So you gotta recognize all that.
And that is often overlooked. Absolutely. Totally agree. And I totally failed on asking you this, Stoy. I think it's important because you touched on, you've been real estate investing. I'd love to hear a little bit of your background and your experience of what you've done in your life and kind of what's led you to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So I born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, went through that, played collegiate football at Drake University. I grew up with a family that just isn't there financially. They're not financially literate or educated, whatever words you use. I like using educated. And so I knew early on I wanted to, one, deal with money, because I don't know about it. And then as I was going through college, I realized that our country and our industry, both things, are very poor at educating people correctly when it comes to money. We take advantage of a lot of people. And so I wanted to be in the industry to help change that situation, right? So started in it as an insurance, which a lot of people do, quickly realized that that's not the way it goes. I will always tell people, I love life insurance, love it, will always tell everyone they need it, but it's not the most important thing, and it's not the first thing that always needs to happen. You need to understand right? You need to have a plan. That plan dictates what happens next. And so started that, left there because of that situation, joined another firm out of Houston, which is now Centric Advisors. Literally just talked to the CEO today because we're still buddies, and started to help them grow and develop nationally. As we were going, I really started to get this feel and itch of I want to work with certain people, minorities, LGBTQ, women, athlete business owners, whom want, just like you had talked about, I don't want to deal with all of that shit. I want to deal with my business. And so from there, I had a business partner who's a CPA, who also has a commercial real estate firm. I have a background in law, and I realized I wanted to build a firm that can take care of and handle all of those things that happen in life from a legal perspective to a tax perspective, and started moving that way. Became CEO of Trinity Investment Firm, which does commercial properties, learning from my business partner, former business partner who's a CPA, and started to get all this knowledge and experience, and finally grasp the fact that people don't know what they don't know. And when I go into a conversation with someone and they start talking about their situation, I can promise you I have one skill that I will say it's my skill. Others say I have more, but I know my one skill. I can take complexity when someone's talking and whittle through it and organize it to it better be simplified and understood, that is more tax efficient, that is better for their wealth development and cash flow flexibility. And that's really where my skill comes from and my background comes from, is being involved with all of those issues and those things. I've started a couple nonprofits. All of those things have accumulated in me to build this experience and skill of being able to take all of that stuff that we all business owners have. Like me and you, we talk all the time. Our brains run 100,000 miles an hour. Everyone's does. I'm able to pick some of that apart, take it out, so that way when it's running 100 miles an hour, it's not getting bogged down. It's running as efficiently as it can because you're not getting stuck on, well, did I pay that bill? Is this a write-off? I don't know if I filed my taxes. Have we done everything correctly? Right? Like those questions don't come up because they're handled. And so that's my background. That's what I focus on. And having a hedge fund and running a lot of properties, you fail, right? But you learn all of the nuances that come to it. And in doing so, I've heightened my skill set to see things that you're just not going to see because either you haven't been there or it's not going to be on top of your mind, where it is on top of my mind.
You sounded like you were in my head a moment ago with all those questions I'm asking myself. You really hit the nail on the head. It's embarrassing, but it's totally true. I a million miles an hour. All those questions are always in there. So yeah, I'm excited to work with you because I really believe you'll simplify my life, and I don't see things the way you do. And that I'm okay with admitting that. Like I am good at what I'm good at, but I'm not great at certain things. And that's where I think working with you would elevate my business to a whole nother level, because you know how to do these. I'm terrible with accounting, for example. Like we have an okay accountant, but I know there's so much more, which is I think you find those things. I don't know a darn thing about great write-offs. I know the basics, and I think most of us are in that same boat. Half the time I'm telling people when I talk about funding, I'm like, yep, but the success fee, that is a tax write-off. And they're like, what? I didn't know that. Yes, it's a business expense. So you're not just throwing that money away willy-nilly. They don't even know that. And so that's where I think, you would help business owners realize there's so much more they can write off, which will, help them the whole way around to operate it more effectively. And I'll be honest, the less I can donate to Uncle Sam, the better.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
I just don't know all that. But
Yeah,
I know
I
you.
joke with when I deliver proposals, I tell this joke. It's not a joke, it's real, but like kind of what you just said, like the success fee is a write-off. And I go, hey, by the way, you're a business owner. My fee's a write-off. They go, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. You didn't know those things. Your accountant is also a write-off. Like there's so much that goes into it that people just don't think of. And ultimately it's fun to throw that out there. And also it adds more value to what we do too, right? Ultimately.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think every business owner can find it within their budget to work with you because it'll do nothing but benefit them and really save them in the long run, honestly, if you look at it from that perspective. I know you have your conference. I don't want to take your whole day, but Stoy, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like people need to know about you and what you do?
Yeah, the only other thing is my podcast, No BS Wealth.
That's what I was going to say. Yes.
I want to tie into what you just said, and that's ultimately everyone should be able to work with me if you want to, right? I have my niche and people I love to work with, but ultimately I have others who are just like me to connect you to. And so if you're on the fence or trying to figure it out, don't ever let a cost be an issue. Well, we have people who can figure that out. I want you to learn. And so one of the best ways to learn about me, others, and other business owners is to go to No BS Wealth podcast, whether it's on YouTube or all the podcast things, TikTok, whatever you want to do, and start to grasp that and then reach out. And if you just need to learn for a while, I'm here for you. If you're ready to go, here for you. If you love what I'm talking about but don't want to work with me because I live in Iowa, I'm moving soon, I promise. then let's get you in touch. I have a network of planners who we see eye to eye, we work together. And ultimately, all we want to do is help you build your wealth and put you on a journey and on a path that is successful. That is all.
I love that. I love that. And I'm going to share all your contact information and all your links in all of this so that people can reach you easily. And I just want to thank you, Stoy. This was amazing. I think what you do is just absolutely exceptional, and you do it with heart. And that's what stuck out from the very first conversation with you. You're not doing this to get rich. You're not doing this because you're some Harvard graduate that thinks they know more than everybody. You are doing this with your heart, and you genuinely like to help people. And that to me stands out because that's what I try to do. And I love working with people that feel the same way, because that's what everyone should do, but sadly they don't. And especially in our industry, there's a lot of people that don't do it. So I commend you on that, because it's a beautiful thing. And I think what you're doing is just incredible for people. So thank you. And thank you for sharing it today. And that's
Yes,
it.